Good morning, Yuri, and thank you for joining us. The Trump administration has repeatedly shown itself to be hostile towards Kyiv and is clearly cozying up to Vladimir Putin's government. How much longer can the Ukrainian government rely upon Washington?
Good morning, Oliver. We, as Ukraine, regard the US as our strategic partners because they have been with us since day one of this large-scale invasion. They have been, one of the largest contributors to our military capability and defense capability. But of course, at the moment, the relationships are a little strained, to put it mildly. But on our part, we are showing to our partner, the United States of America, that we are really driven by this objective to end the war, and we are prepared to take concrete steps in order to achieve it. Now, with the view to the pause in terms of providing Ukraine with the US military support and intelligence data, of course, we hope that this is only a temporarily, because a lot will depend on the intensity of the war along the front lines. It will depend on the intensity of Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities. And, actually, while we are speaking with our partners about a path to peace and how to end the war, Russians continue to attack Ukrainian cities. And just last night, there was another massive attack. And in the city of Kryvyi Rih, a peaceful hotel was struck by a missile and 4 people were killed, civilians. Many more were wounded. So we are at the point where Ukraine has shown to the US that we are willing and we want to end the war. Now time to see if Russia can reciprocate, if they are interested in ending this war, because so far the signs have been very scarce from the Russian side.
Now, supposing Washington's suspension of aid to Ukraine isn't temporary, what effect would that have? Like, would the weapon supply dry up quickly or sooner or later?
Oliver, I will stress once again that it will, of course, depend on the intensity of the fighting along the front line and intensity of the missile attacks. But having said that, I would like to stress that, in the last 3 years, Ukraine, we were able, despite the missile attacks, despite the war, we were able to increase the output of our defense industry by 35 times. Last year, we have produced more 155 caliber howitzers, self-propelled howitzers, than all of Europe or any European country. So we are showing to our European partners that, when it comes, when the push comes to the shove, we need to step up our efforts, and we are producing now millions of drones. We are producing deep strike drones. We are producing armored vehicles. We have joint ventures with largest European and worldwide weapons manufacturers. So if the US decides to entirely disengage, this will be very hard. But look, if we step up our efforts, we will still be able to protect Ukraine and Europe from the spread of Russian tyranny, because we've said it many times, and I think our European partners now understand very well, Russia will not stop in Ukraine if it is allowed to.
Now, this stepping up of domestic arms production, including the drones, as you mentioned, Europe has also said that it plans to drastically increase arms spending as well, defence spending. Will all this be able to fill the shortfall in the absence or in the possibility of Washington disengaging from Europe?
In one way, this is a question that can only be answered: does Europe have a choice? Does Europe have an alternative? The answer to that is no. And of course, look, for example, Rheinmetall, one of the world's leaders in weapons manufacturers, just yesterday, they made a statement that before the war, they were producing 70,000 munitions per year. Now they are at a level of 750,000. So scaling up production is possible, and it will be hard. It will not happen overnight. But look, we as Ukraine, we are ready to share the data, invaluable data from the battlefield-tested weapon systems with our European partners. We are happy to, assist each other in terms of cooperating in our defense industries. So, as the ancient Romans said, civic pacem para bellum. You want peace, prepare for the war. So the time is now to wake up and, assess the threat, see the reality, and step up our efforts.
Now, there's also Washington's suspension of intelligence sharing since yesterday, and that can have quite a drastic effect on Ukraine's ability to strike Russia. Are you concerned that Washington might actually go the other direction entirely and start divulging intelligence to Moscow?
Well, we are living in a world where things happen very quickly and the situation changes abruptly. But of course, what we hope for is that the United States still understands that standing with Ukraine and not abandoning Ukraine in these times is in the national interest of the United States of America, because there are so many other parts of the world where, if a bad precedent is set in Ukraine, it will most probably be replicated in other parts of the world. And then, it will be squarely against the national interest of the United States of America. So, we just hope that the bipartisan support will remain. We hope that everything that we're seeing now and hearing now is part of a negotiating tactics, the aim of which is to bring Russia to the negotiating table and to achieve peace through force, which is exactly what Donald Trump said in the past.
Thank you very much for that, Yuriy.